What's up guys, welcome to another Tactical Edge Tech Talk. It's your main man Matty. You guys asked for it, so I'm bringing it to you. We're doing the strip down of the RX AK. So buckle in because this is going to be one hell of a strip down. Alright guys, so we're going to take the buttstock off first. It comes in the box already off, but if you've got it on, just don't forget you got to take this off. You've got one screw on the top and two screws on the bottom. Once you got that stock off guys, you'll see you've got 4 little screws on the back here. Just there. That holds this little piece in place, so take those out and this will just slide straight out. Next part to take off guys is this top shroud here, so you just push in this back lever here and it just lifts up and comes off. You've got another one on there as well, which does the same thing, but you've actually got to unscrew it with these tiny little screws here. So you take those out, push that in, and this comes off again. Take this piece out here guys before you get this one off. It'll make this bit a little bit easier. You just got to pull this spring back and that little blue piece, just like that. Pull that out, and then this will just slide back and pop out, just like that. Then you can get this little black button here, push it in, lift that shroud back up and off. So there you can see we've got our big weight for the blowback, so that's what you can actually feel doing all that inertia when you pull the trigger. So the next bit I'll move to is the handguard and show you how to pull that apart. Alright, let's have a look at pulling this handguard apart. To get to the battery box guys, you just click this piece up and that just lifts straight off. So there's your little connector there. What that actually does is exposes this little screw just here, which holds the piece in front here. So I'll take that off and show you. That one little screw. You've also got this little rod or imitation gas tube. Undo that screw at the front. And this will just sort of lift up and then slide out. Then you can just push this bit forward, like that, and this will come off. There you go. It shows these 2 screws here on either side. That's what holds this whole assembly on. So take those 2 out, and then you can just slide it forward. So we'll take these 2 little screws out here, which holds this little plate on, which is on a little spring. So to get this off, you've got to remove these 2. So you just got to push this little plate off the little notches it's on, lift it up, and it'll come off. So there's a little spring, keep that with it, don't lose it. Once you got that off, then you've got to go and take these little wires off, but you have to remember where they go. So from your plug, you've got the red wire here, which goes on the bottom. Alright, so that's your positive battery power wire. And then you've got another wire there which goes towards the gearbox, which is on top. So remember that when you go to put it back together. Then you can just slide this whole lot forward like that, and it comes off. Next you've got to take the grip off before you get the gearbox out. So it's just this screw on the bottom here, which is attached to the bottom of the motor. So take that out, and then this will just slide off like that. Now remember where your remember where your terminals are. You got this positive one which goes to that terminal there, which has the red on it, and it's on the front or this side of the blaster. And then you have your negative one, which is just silver with the black wire. Once you've got the motor off guys, don't forget to remove this screw here, which is screwed into the back of the gearbox. So there's a little nut on the inside of the spring retainer. So this is sort of what's holding the gearbox in the receiver. So just take that out and it will just lift out like that. So this is the gearbox out of the receiver guys. I will do a separate video on how to pull this apart and show you, how each piece is meant to sit in, how it goes back together. So keep an eye out for that one. It'll be coming out soon. But what I'll do is I'll show you guys how it all goes back together now. It is a couple finicky things here, so keep watching. Alright, to drop this back into the receiver, you have to sort of make sure like that this is sitting in like a resting spot. So you push it back and then it sort of just springs back like that. So that's like semi mode. Essentially, it's sort of this plate rests at semi mode. It gets pulled back into full auto and pushed forward into safe. So it will rest on semi. So what you need to do is have this sitting on semi, so that these teeth and everything on the inside of the back here all sort of mesh and line up properly when you put the gearbox back in. Alright, so drop the gearbox back in, guys. Just feed your wires through the little motor slot and slide it all in like that. So just watch that trigger doesn't get caught. Feed it into where it needs to go, and there it is, just sitting in place. Alright, so grab this screw here, guys, chuck it back in your spring retainer and do it up. So get your motor back, guys. We're going to put it back on, so just remember that this little big plate is going to go on the back side, just so you know which way it goes on, and then just push it in like that. Feed your bolts back through, and watch that the nuts on the other side don't fall out. Maybe hold a little bit of pressure on your finger on there while you do it up. So put your wires back on, guys. Remember that the red wire goes to that red terminal on the motor. So just slide it back on, put the black one or the negative one on the other side. So that's ready to go. Grab your motor grip, guys, and get ready to slide it back on. What you'll need to do is put these wires sort of on the front and back, because if you put them on the sides, the grip won't slide on very easily. So you just sort of put it into these little slots like that, and then slide it in like that. Get it right up in there, grab your screw and put it back in there and do it up. Right, so grab this little plate that we took off before with the little spring, make sure that that's still on there, and just sort of slot it in on the inside there and get it to sort of lock in place. You have to have it a certain way because the metal is actually countersunk for these screws, like that. If you have it the other way, they won't actually screw in. Okay, so this next bit is putting this whole assembly back into the receiver. It is a bit tricky, so bear with me. But first of all, you have to make sure that these wires sort of sit in a certain spot, because they have to run down this little track here so they don't get sort of jammed inside it. So slide this in a bit, just so it sort of runs down like that. So that's pretty much set up, but then the next tricky bit is getting this spring to sit on that little white plastic bit, so that's got to hook back onto there when you slide it through. So you can get it to probably about there, grab your screwdriver and sort of just push it forward and get it down. So just like that. And then you can continue to slide this all the way through until that these two screws here line up with each other. Just like that. So grab your AK like this, guys. Grab your little bottom piece for the handguard. We're gonna just feed these little wires in into it here. Make sure they sit in the spot they need to. Lift it up and then sort of just get it to sit back like that. Then grab this piece here and fit it in. Right, so grab this little rod, guys. We're going to feed it through this little guide there and then into the back, or just into that piece that holds that guard in. There's a hole, so just get it. You're still going to have to probably bend it into place as well as push it, just so it then drops in. Once you've got that clicked in, get that little countersink bit lined up like this. You're going to get that long black screw and feed that through into there and do it up. So that's going to keep that black piece from coming off. So then we just grab the other screw and put it into there. Cool. So we're going to put this piece on now. This is what is the main part of that, action that you see, the blowback, but you also need this to activate the switch. So the way the switch actually works, you've got this little piece in here that moves. So when this goes back like that, it activates the switch inside the front piece here, then turns the blaster on and away you go. So the important thing to put when you're putting this plate back in is you've got to basically hold that back while you drop that piece in there. So it actually has to sit right in, otherwise the switch won't actually work. So just drop that piece in there like that. You're going to want to pull it all the way back, but just lift it up, grab a small screwdriver and pull that little black piece back. Pull this back, and then you're going to want to sort of drop it into place. So then it sits right down in there. What you want to see is if it is in place, that this piece and this piece are going to be like a very small gap, if none at all. If there is a gap, then you don't have this piece in properly. Grab this little shroud, the one with all the little holes on it. We're going to put this piece on next, but you've sort of got to, because it does have that little piece there with a hole, you've got to feed it in between this plate here and that plate there, so that little rod pokes out the hole, and then you can just clip it back down. Then we'll put the spring and that little retainer in place. Just like that. There is a little slot for that little piece inside here, so that's that in place. Grab your spring retainer, feed that into there, and then place that little blue piece on the rod, which is on the gearbox, so it sits in there pretty much just like that. So then that does work. Right, so this last bit is nice and easy to get on, guys. Just grab your shroud, whether you're going to have this blank one or the Picatinny one. The important thing is make sure that the back here clips on the inside like that, so then it won't try and pop out. Then you grab that back piece for the stock, put that in there, do your screws up there, grab your stock, feed it in, do it all up, and you're done. There you have it, guys. I told you this wasn't the most straightforward thing to work on, but thanks for bearing with me. Let me know what you think, leave a comment below. Don't forget to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Until then, I'll see you guys at the next Tech Talk.